You are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream. C.S. Lewis. Welcome, Kevin.
Hello, Matt.
Thanks for coming back. Another beautiful spring day here in what do they call it? East Central Missouri?
Yeah, the rain stayed away.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. We had a good hike this morning.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun. And I'm probably going to be super sore tomorrow because I've been working out pretty hard lately. Welcome back to the Headspace and Tasting Podcast, where we talk manhood, tell stories, and discuss the stuff that matters to us, one sip at a time.
I was wondering if you're going to remember. Too much bourbon in you already?
No, sir. This is just kind of a footloose and fancy-free episode, I think.
Is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
We took notes.
I left my notebook upstairs.
Oh, oops.
So, there's that. But I kind of remember what we talked about.
I gotta go pee.
Like Not yet.
Okay.
The doldrums, right? The malaise of being in the middle of a journey, or, you set a goal and you're working towards it, and there's that mundane part that you eventually get to.
Yep, the malaise.
That's what we talked about. And
the boredom.
Last week, having James Strong on the show talking about retirement, it kind of brought something to my mind, like, okay, what if you're, somebody like us, our age, we're in the middle of it. Retirement's kind of an abstract concept to us.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to retire.
I don't know. But that's kind of the goal, to eventually quit working for somebody and just enjoy my life, right?
Right. That's what your uncle said. I'm not retired. I'm just not working for a paycheck.
Yeah. So we're kind of in the middle of it, right? We're in the muck, in the grime, pushing, what do they call it? Grinding. We're grinding, Kevin. And then, with our first episode, a couple episodes, we were talking about goals, setting goals, new year. If you're setting a goal for a year, that's a long time, 365 days. That's a lot of weeks, 52 weeks. Then you're just kind of doing the same thing over and over again.
Well, it's almost the equivalent of the New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to set something that far out, you're going to fail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Almost all the time.
I started with a general goal. I just want to be healthier. I want to be healthier than what I am right now. So what do I need to do do that? I need to lose weight. I need to fix my diet. I need to start exercising.
Well, yeah, because
all that stuff.
You got to define, I want to be healthier.
Right.
That's not even a goal by itself. I mean, what the heck is that?
Right. That is a very big umbrella. And for me, it was mental health stuff. There's physical health, spiritual health, all that stuff that was under that umbrella. And now I'm kind of, so we're coming up on June in a couple weeks, week and a half, something like that. I can't remember. What's today? 24th.
Yeah, we got another. Well, it's 2 weeks.
2 weeks away.
Yep, 2 weeks.
And I didn't set a timeline or a weight. I do have a goal of getting down to 200 pounds. But, if that doesn't happen, I don't have a timeline on it. It's just eventually I'd like to get down there. Right now, I'm lighter than I have been in the last 10 years. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good. I'm heavier than I've been in the last 10 years.
So I kind of use that as, hey, you got to take some perspective, like look at where you're at compared to where you are. Don't look at the end, like how far away you are from the end, because then that is what is going to distract you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's going to give you some disappointment, and that's the wrong perspective to have, in my opinion. I'm not a professional, but for me, that's what works. So I look back at my records that I've had in 2015, September of 2015, I was 220 pounds. In between there and March of last year, March of 2024, I got up to 247 and a half pounds. So I gained 27 and a half pounds. And that's what triggered, like, oh man, this is not good. I'm going in the wrong direction.
You just being heavier triggered you?
Well, I was also pre-diabetic.
I was going to say, usually just me being fat didn't trigger me. Something had to happen to actually say, you know what, I got to quit being fat.
Yeah, I had to buy new pants. I had to move up in pant size. I got my blood work done, all that. I was pre-diabetic, pre-hypertension. I was feeling like crap, getting winded easily. Couldn't do a push-up anymore. All this kind of stuff I was like, oh my gosh, I'm dying.
For me, when I maxed out at 296, what I figured out was the fact that I had about a 50-minute commute every day going home, and I couldn't go home without falling asleep at the wheel.
Ooh.
So I would stop at a designated parking space or a spot about 3/4 of the way, where every day I would just get off and go there and take a cat nap.
Wow.
And then drive the rest of the way home. That was one. The other one was I had the same pants, but I was ripping out the crotch in my pants.
Oh.
And I'm going, you know what? I got to start doing something.
Yeah.
Those were the two triggers for me.
Yeah. So whatever your goal is, it's important to remember your starting point, I think.
Yeah, you're here and you want to go there.
Yeah. But you need to record that. You know, like if it's a financial goal. So that way when you're halfway there, you don't give up. You can look back and say, holy cow, look at all the progress I've made so far. This is actually working. And that really motivates to move forward. Just to keep, okay, what I'm doing is working. I'm going to keep going. Even though I don't feel the change day to day, the numbers don't lie. I think last time I weighed in, last Saturday, I was like 216. And I was like, what the hell? How did I gain 1.5 pounds? And all it was I drank a little bit of bourbon the night before. I cheated a little bit on my diet. I retained some water. You know, just that's all it was. The next, like by that afternoon, I was back down to regular 215, and now I'm 213.4. And so I just kind of had to pause, don't freak out, quit being a girl about it, worrying about your weight so much, and just.
The running joke with me is I couldn't get above 208. No matter what I tried. I would shovel in the calories, drink, do whatever. I could not get above 208. And then probably fall last year, late summer, fall, suddenly I'm gaining weight. I'm going, what the?
Yeah.
Is my body changing? Did I force it to change? I'm still doing the same things.
Getting older, dude.
And
Get your hormones checked?
No.
I'm going to do that.
I'll use Gail as my guide for my hormones.
All right, moving on.
When Gail starts telling me that I'm being a big baby, you know.
If you start crying at Hallmark commercials.
Yeah, right. You know, you might need to get your hormones checked.
Sleep is a big thing too, man. I mean, if you're not sleeping good, that messes a lot of stuff up.
You have to get your 8 hours. I don't care who you are. You say you're naturally a 5-6 hour sleeper. Your mind is betraying what your body is really trying to tell you.
I think so.
You do need to get those
eventually.
8 hours.
I used to do that, like sleep like 4 hours a night. I would make it for about 3 months, and then there would be a Sunday where I would sleep all day to catch up on my sleep. And it was the weirdest thing.
It's pretty scary. I mean, I just started wearing a Samsung watch.
Yep.
You know, a couple weeks ago. It's tracking my sleep, my fitness, everything I do. And I really like it. And one thing about my sleep, when I first started, is my deep sleep would be no more than 6 to 18 minutes a night. But the last 2 nights, and it could be because of all the training I've been doing, you know, I'm weakened on my training. My deep sleep is hovering around 28 to 36 minutes.
Okay.
within those last couple of days. So, there's some improvement there. My length of time is still the same, 7:45 on average per night, about 7 hours, 45 minutes.
Okay.
But it's sleep is easily scheduled in. You can easily put that together and work your schedule around that.
Turn the TV off, put your phone down.
That's what keeps you up.
Most people, right?
Screen time messes with your eyes, and that's what keeps you awake.
The blue light. My reading glasses that I use to see my phone are blue light filtering reading glasses. Some people just use blue light lenses and no prescription in them whatsoever.
I'm not wearing anything when I'm reading or, with the screen time.
Yeah.
But I've done, again, personal study, right?
Mm-hmm.
You look at something on your phone into the evening, I'll go 9, 9:30, 9:45, 9:50. I'm like, ooh, it's past my bedtime, but I'm not tired.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll take that same thing and pull out my book, and I'll get through 3 pages, and I'm like, I'm done.
Yep.
I'm going to bed, and I sleep well. So there's something to be said about not getting on that.
Well, I really think the phones are designed to hold your attention, to keep you awake. It messes with your dopamine and serotonin to keep you attached to it. I think they're actually designed that way so they can market to you.
Well, and I think that's why we can't figure out goals, because we keep getting new studies out, and even so much as not only within the United States, but they're comparing us to other countries.
Mm-hmm.
We are the busiest country in the world. No one is busier than we are. No. We are nothing but busyness. Anytime you ask somebody, hey, how's everything going? Oh man, I've been busy.
Yeah.
I'm busy. I go, what's making you so damn busy? You got the same amount of time I do. And then, so you flip back to the whole thing with your cell phone.
Yeah.
Everyone can look on their cell phones and look at their average screen time every day. Mine, for last week, I averaged 3 hours and 22 minutes a day. And that's ridiculous.
I'm going to look mine up right now.
So anybody who says that they're busy, they're not busy. They're just directing their time to something that does not matter or matters little. And you know what? I can get back 3 hours and 22 minutes, and it's not all texting. I'm not texting people.
No.
I'm not on the phone doing phone calls. It's checking email, social media, looking at websites 16 times a day when I don't need to.
Yeah.
And you cut all that out, I suddenly just found 3 more hours.
You know what I find is weird is that I'm like, I have to go see what's going on in the world. Like I'll get on X or some other news app because I'm afraid I'm missing out on something that's going on in the world. I really don't care. Like I don't care what's going on in Pakistan and India. I care about the human aspect of it, obviously, but it has no bearing on my daily life.
None whatsoever.
And why do I feel compelled to constantly check up on it and see what's going on?
Right.
I can't find my usage report. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, tariffs. Are they going to affect prices in some way? Even without tariffs, the prices are going up.
Yeah.
Deal with it, man. Come on. Stop stressing over it.
Yeah.
Control what you can control.
That's it, man. What about this C.S. Lewis quote I read? What do you think about that?
I'm too old for goals.
You're not. Say it, Kevin.
What's that?
Give up. Give it up.
What's that?
Why are we training so hard?
I have no idea. I don't know what you're referring to.
Okay. Denial ain't just another river in Africa, my friend.
Oh yeah, that's right. We all committed last week to bike the entire length of the Katy Trail here in Missouri, 246 miles, I think it is.
I thought it was 239 and a half.
I don't know. It depends on where you start.
Yeah. We're going to do the original Katy Trail, not the spurs that come off and the extensions and all that junk.
So we agreed to do that in the 3rd week of September.
Yeah. And
so we got to start training.
We immediately realized how insane that is.
I haven't ridden a bike in 2 years. No. I got on my bike, and after 2 miles, I thought I was going to die. And I need to average 40 to 50 a day by the
rode-
time September rolls around.
I rode 7 yesterday, and I was like, I'm a Superman. I could 7 miles. Ooh.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, we just set a goal
Yeah.
and got to kick in that training. And I can't look at it as I have to bike 50 miles a day.
Mm-mm.
I'm training for distance, not for time,
Yep.
because of what we're doing. We're not trying to run a race.
No.
We're doing distance. So right now I can't ride that far. So I'm going, all right, I need to hit at least 5 miles a day on my biking, and then have incremental increases on that in order to get to where I'm going.
Yeah. I'm on a 3-day cycle where I'll bike. Then the next day I'm doing some sort of resistance training. And then the third day is recovery, stretch,
Okay.
foam roll, take care of my back, really is what I'm concerned about. But I found myself actually wanting to bike more. So I'll do it. I'll just hop on my bike and do a little bit.
Right. Well, you mentioned it's the dopamine effect.
Yeah.
You know, you're getting that feel good vibe going, you know, that neurotransmitter in your brain, and you suddenly you're going, oh, I feel good when I'm riding a bike. So I got to ride that bike again to get that dopamine fix.
I have a feeling around mid-July, it's not going to feel that way.
Right. Well, then you're going to get your dopamine from a different way, because we all need dopamine, but we don't need the dopamine addiction, because the dopamine leads to positivity, strength, boosts in your morale and attitude.
And if you're sleep deprived, that affects your dopamine and your serotonin.
Yeah, both.
And you're going to be off, man. But talking about how we started with the malaise, the doldrum, like it's about to get hot here in Missouri. The temperatures are going to go up. We're going to be working hard. We're going to have to get off work and put our miles in.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, my exercise plan that I have to the third week of September, and when I planned it out, right now it's 5 to 10 miles per session. No big deal. It steps up steeply. You know, then it's going to be 10 to 25, probably around July.
Right, because we're not going to wait until September to hit our distance.
No way.
It'll be the beginning of September. We're going to start running the long distances to be able to, so we know that we can handle it.
Yeah.
It's just like planning for the trip itself. We're not actually going to start planning for the trip until mid-July.
Yeah.
Because we don't need to do it now. It's too early. Let's just focus on getting our bodies strong and building that endurance.
Build up my butt bones to handle the seat. That's really what I need to do.
Right. So then you take, it's kind of, it's the whole whale thing. You know, how do you eat a whole whale one bite at a time?
Right.
So you're taking this Katy Trail 240 miles and you're breaking your training down into small segments. And because it's not the goal, it's the journey.
Right.
And so you're trying to hit these small segments so you get there. And then once you're there, you're going, okay, what do I do when I get there? Yeah. So you got to have your stages along the way to keep going.
Yeah, I want to be... Emma's awake. I want to be in good enough shape to where I can enjoy the scenery, where I'm not just focused on the suck, the suffering.
Well, right.
And I want to be able to just cruise the trail and be able to look around and see what's going on and not worried about, oh my God, how much time we have left.
Right, because we read about people who can do the trail in 3 days.
Yeah.
Well, what's the point of that?
Right. You're
just to say you did it?
Flying through. Maybe, yeah.
I mean, big deal.
I guess there's something to that, man. I like climbing a mountain.
I mean, if I did it 4 times already, I'm saying I'm going to do it again. I'll do it in 3 days, get it done.
Yeah.
But I want to see what's out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to do it one way and then maybe do it the other opposite way.
Yeah, I might run into a bear.
Yeah.
Snake fall out of a tree. I don't know.
It's going to be fun. And a bunch of us old guys, 3 old guys and 1 young guy. To us, he's pretty young. But it's going to be a good challenge, and I'm very excited for it. The more I think about it, the more excited I get.
Technically, I'm the oldest guy in the group.
You are.
Crap.
Not technically. In reality.
Yeah.
You are the oldest guy in the group.
In actuality.
Yeah. Yeah, so there are some physical concerns I have, with my knee that I don't think I have a MCL anymore. I need to get, but I'm just going to wear a knee brace and go. If I can protect my back, I think I should be good. And I'm really looking forward to the training. Really, really looking forward to this plan. It's like exciting when I look at my training plan. I got my macros and my nutrition dialed in for it.
Right. It has nothing. I mean, it's the Katy Trail is kind of the trigger for the whole thing.
Yeah.
But really, like you said, excited for your training because I am too, and
Mm-hmm.
I want to see how my body's going to change. I've already done all my measurements, weight, and then once a month or every other week, I'll keep up with my measurements.
Yeah.
Because I know my body's going to change, and I want to see what it is. And I really think that this process will probably get me at my peak fitness level. I mean, I was really fit when I was doing mud runs, and that was early 40s. So here we are, mid 50s for me.
Yeah.
And now I'm all of a sudden in this thing again, and I think I'll be more fit after this than anything else I've done, only because of the endurance factor that goes into it, in addition to, the sustainment.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely not going to say that about myself because, I used to run 10-mile races and do CrossFit. And
well, I did too.
I could do a running front somersault and then flip over and keep running and like all sorts of crazy stuff that there's no way I have no desire to do that junk anymore. But as far as mileage traveled in one go, this is going to be by far the longest I've ever done was a couple 25-mile road marches.
This is a different kind of training.
This is definitely different, and I'm all in, man. I'm excited.
I'm all in on the blood flow. When you get that blood pumping and your heart rate up a little bit, and you can sustain that over time, you're refreshing your whole body, and blood is starting to go into places in your body that probably hasn't gone there in a while.
No.
And then, that's what you need, that blood, because the blood is what fuels the nerves, the muscles, the tendons, and really keeps all that stuff pumping. And I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how that's going to help me out in different areas that have been lacking for a while. I talked about my cancer and how blood flow doesn't work well on the left side of my face or into my head.
Yeah.
I'm hoping all this stuff, I'll start feeling that pressure and I'll start regenerating. I would say regenerate, but bring a little life back into some areas that have been dormant for a while.
Okay. I'm looking forward to setting up camp at night when we get where we're, for our stop overnight, and we're setting up camp and just hanging out with some dudes.
Sing Kumbaya.
You're
bringing a guitar?
No.
Okay, good.
Definitely not.
I can't get into that. You bring a guitar and you want everybody to start singing. I'm going to go say I'm using the bathroom.
I'll bring in a ukulele.
Can't do it.
I think I'm going to bring a book, maybe.
Yep.
I'll bring a journal to write in, which I know you will. I think that's about it, man. Not too many. I'm not going to bring any sort of headphones or music. I'll have it on my phone, I guess. But
right. No, I'm going to keep it simple.
I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah.
And the camaraderie. Set up camp. Talk a little trash. Go see these towns. I like visiting small towns in America.
Right. And support each other at the same time.
Yeah.
I have no idea what we're going to talk about.
No.
You get some point that the combination of the stress and the weakness after day 2 or whatever, suddenly things are going to start spilling out of people's mouths. You're like, ooh, it's time to have a talk.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we are going to bring the mobile microphones, though. We might be able to record a show from the trail. That'd be fun. And man, so they have a bell at the beginning and the end?
Yeah.
You seen that?
Yeah.
So we're going to ring the bells. That'd be cool. What else? What else can we finish up this topic with? I don't know, dudes. Like, there's a lot of guys who just stop trying to be do hard things, right? They just stop. and they get wound up in all sorts of distractions. And knock that off, man.
Well,
do hard stuff.
Part of it is you got to have somebody who's going to hold you accountable along the way.
Yep.
So for us, when we said, hey, let's do the Katy Trail, suddenly we had 4 guys who said, all right, I'm in.
Yeah. I was like, oh, shit.
Well, I can't quit now. I have to do it.
Nope. It's just
so
like
that's a motivator.
When I was getting ready to jump, right, and standing in the C-130, and I was like, there's no way I'm not jumping out of this plane. There's no way. I'm scared, and I could die. I don't care. I'd rather die than not jump out of this plane. That's literally the mindset I had. I would rather die than be called a coward.
So, I mean, that's how guys can get over the hump. If they're afraid of, again, one of my favorite phrases, growth and comfort never coexist. And if you're going to, if you have an idea or a thought or, maybe someday you're never going to do it.
No way. And that's what I said. Like, guys, we're not getting any younger. If everybody says, oh, that was on my bucket list, I've always wanted to do that. Okay, there's no better time to do it than right now.
Right. Can't, never did.
There you go.
So you got to make that commitment, and it's better. I mean, again, as guys, we should be pairing up with someone, one or two, 3 guys.
Yeah.
And get us all on the same page. And you know what? You're going to do it.
Iron sharpens iron, man.
Absolutely.
And it's not a soft, cuddly process.
Right. It's not.
So, moving on. Now we have it out there in public. It's on the internet. It's on YouTube. Speaking of which, we're on YouTube now.
Woohoo!
If you want to listen to us on YouTube, we are the Headspace and Tasting Podcast, but and is the ampersand, right?
Yes.
Am I saying that right?
Yeah. It's not the word and.
Headspace tasting.
Right. And you know what? For all you people who say, well, I can't listen because I don't have Spotify.
Yeah.
No excuses.
YouTube,
Everybody has YouTube.
It's preloaded on your phone when you get it.
That's right. We're there, man.
Leave some comments. Subscribe. Hit the notification thingy. Leave comments. Tell us we suck. Whatever.
We do have, but we got some catching up to do. I mean, this is episode 21.
Yeah.
We broke the 20 mark.
Yeah.
And so we got some catching up to do. It'll take us a little bit of time to get all the older episodes up onto the YouTube channel.
I'm not sure how it uploads into the library of YouTube. I'll have to look at that. They might all be out of order, but I need to number them. Episode blah, blah, blah.
What? Yeah, I could change the title on that.
Okay.
I thought about doing that, just starting it with, like I do the Facebook posts.
Yeah.
The number and the title.
What are we drinking today, Kevin?
I don't know. You brought it, man. It's good, though.
This is probably I'm not even going to say probably. This is the best bourbon we've tasted so far.
I'll agree with that.
It is Henry McKenna, single barrel, Kentucky straight, bottled in bond bourbon. Aged 10 years. So
10 years.
This bottle that we're drinking was barreled on August 29th, 2013, in barrel number 17579. And it's bottled in bond, so it's 100 proof.
And the distiller is Heaven Hill.
Heaven Hill Distillery, Bardstown, Kentucky. It is great.
What I find amazing is, again, bottled in bond, aged 10 years.
Yeah.
We've had several bottled in bond or 100 proof, and man, they're lame compared to this one.
Absolutely. This is considered the connoisseur edition of the Henry McKenna, and they're right on, man. I don't think Heaven Hill can do anything wrong. What else did we have? We had the Bardstown bourbon that was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Evan Williams is Heaven Hill stuff, isn't it?
I think so.
I think so.
But it's 78% corn.
Yeah.
12% malted barley, 10% rye.
The only thing that came to mind when I first started sniffing this, and was almond extract.
Which is funny because I got nothing nutty out of it.
Or like a raw walnut. That's what I got. Nuts. And then tasting it was like again, some almondy, nutty flavor, but also aromatic. What I said was like wet earth. So it reminded me of being in the Army or being in the deep woods if you're a hunter and you're laying down on the forest floor. That smell of like the old growth forest.
Yeah, not wet grass like you're at a picnic or in your backyard. This is
deep woods.
Yeah.
That earth that's like super dark and moist, wet.
Moist.
I'll
get that.
Yeah.
The aromas for me were, it was definitely aromatic and woodsy. A little bit of alcohol in it, which is, again, kind of surprising for 10 years.
Yeah.
Aging 10 years.
I mean, imagine the proof it was when they put it in the barrel. If it was
it's not dull at all.
Proof.
Yeah. To me, it was, how a bourbon should smell.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how else to say it. I mean, if you've been drinking bourbon, you know a good bourbon from a bad one. And
yeah. So this bottle was $65 before tax. Those bastards. Compare this to the Penelope we had last week.
Yeah, which was $75 before tax.
$75 before tax. And how much you think this would go for in a secondary market?
Similar price. I did look it up. So there was an earlier one, I can't be right, 1999. I don't know if it went back that far. 2009? Maybe 2019, something like that. It was selling on the secondary for $98.
Yeah, so that's still significantly less than the Penelope.
Right, which was secondary at $230. But then again, I think the reason why is because it's not necessarily small batch, but it's a niche.
It's like a craft distillery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I think it's
less volume.
It's a little bit of FOMO.
Yeah.
And people wanting to get it.
I honestly wouldn't care to drink that ever again.
No. Then after drinking this.
No way, man.
Right. But then understand that this is a straight Kentucky bourbon.
Yeah.
That was a bourbon whiskey.
Yeah. Okay.
With Amarana barrels and honey and.
Yeah, that was weird.
All that other stuff.
The honey, to me, it was like coated my mouth. It was weird.
So, I mean, there are different categories. For me, the taste, immediate. Got that heat from the cinnamon.
Mm-hmm.
And as I swished it around a little bit, let it settle, brown sugar, a small hint of lemon for me. And then definitely the rye grain as I was finishing off the bourbon. And then the other thing which surprised me was I'm actually tasting probably what the sour mash actually was.
Yeah.
During the distilling process.
Which I think this is definitely the first one we've tasted where we came to that conclusion, right?
Yeah. And for me, I had that practical experience of when I did the tour at the Maker's Mark and was able to be up in the where the mash was fermenting, and they allowed us to stick our fingers in the mash and taste it. So I can connect that directly to that and go, you know what, I'm tasting the sour mash on this. And it's pretty good. It's definitely a refined bourbon. You described it that way.
Yeah.
I like it. Actually, it's giving me a little bit of flashbacks. I feel like I'm Humphrey Bogart back in the 40s, and I'm sitting in some local bar, as Philip Marlowe, Private Eye, and, I'm taking a swig of this, and, my teeth are, I feel like I'm cutting my teeth a little bit and got that Humphrey Bogart look in, on my mouth. And,
yeah, this is a real bourbon, man. This is what you expect to taste when you thinking about a bourbon.
Yeah, and all of them that we've had so far, the closest we can come to is the Four Roses that we had Evan Williams
Bottle and Bond
at the beginning. Four Roses small batch, but even between those two and this one, this is definitely the closest thing to what anybody would consider a real bourbon, I think.
Yeah. So good job.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Bardstown, man. That's where it's at. What else you want to talk about, dude?
Well, we were talking a little bit about busyness. I want to get back on that a little bit.
Okay.
We talked about how we waste our time on social media, on our phones. 3 hours, 22 minutes was my average last week, and I thought that was just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know I'm spending that much time on the phone until I am.
What did you do about it?
So, again, trying to re-kick in my habit of not having my phone on me. I don't have it with me now.
Yeah.
It's in my car. If you got to talk to me, you can leave a message, or you can send me a text, and I'll catch up to it later. The other thing is if I'm saying I'm busy, I can get that time back. And, again, the social media aspect, or just the cell phones in general, taking that out. But we mentioned journaling, and everyone knows I'm a journaler, diary keeper, and definitely will have it during the Katy Trail bike run. And if part of not being busy is you have to force yourself to slow down. Because we are throwing so many things into our brain that we don't know we're going left or right anymore. And we can't develop a solid thought on anything that's going on around us. We're so baited into whatever's happening.
Yeah, that's like a constant white noise going on, right?
Right. And so when you journal, and I recommend it, everyone give it a shot. When you journal, you forcibly, and I'm talking hand, don't type. When you sit down with a notebook and a pen, you have to force yourself to slow down. And you have to force yourself to determine or develop a thought as you're writing it out. And it slows your brain down, but it slows you down in such a way that it re-energizes you at the same time, because you're actually developing what it is you're writing about, and you're starting to engage the neurons in your brain that you're not used to using anymore.
So
this is what AI is going to do to us. AI is going to kill us because we're using. Yeah, right. Well, you're going to do it for you. Why even be in existence? You're going to be a vegetable, and we don't want that. I mean, do you want to be a 20-year-old Alzheimer's patient? Because that's what you're going to be on AI. Sorry.
I've tried to start journaling numerous times throughout my life, and it's always like the first entry, I have a lot to say. The second entry, a little bit less, and the third entry, if I make it, is way less.
Right.
How do you either develop that muscle to return to it day after day after day and stay consistent, or is it something that is just in you that you have to get it out?
I mean, there's dead periods.
Yeah.
Where if I miss a day or two, I'm going to miss 3 or 4 days.
Well, do you write in your journal like, I don't feel like writing anything today? And
I
then
do.
Move on?
Sometimes my dates will just have the single word, nothing.
Okay, so maybe that's the trick, to actually just go through the ritual.
I have to develop that habit. Get the habit of actually doing something on paper.
Yeah.
And even if I have nothing going on, I at least heard a quote today. Someone told a joke. It's a significant date. Could it be a family member's birthday? Something like that. And I'll put it in there. Happy birthday to my mom. Or, it could be something like, I could hear a funny joke. I'm like, oh, I need to write that down. Not that I'm writing it down so I can remember to tell it later.
Yeah.
Maybe my kids after I'm dead will read it and think it's funny. But I'm trying to stay engaged and keep my mind active.
Yeah.
So I might write down something like, what do you call an alligator that wears a vest?
What?
An investigator. I mean, I'll just put it there.
Shame on you.
You make it a copybook. It doesn't have to be a diary of your day.
Yeah. I think that's what I'm thinking is like, what are the deep thoughts that I'm thinking right now? What's effective? And I'm like, well, I don't have any deep thoughts right now. I'm just like bummed out that it's raining. And
yeah, but see, I actually keep 2 notebooks. One is my diary, where I'll write out stuff every day. I usually do it in the evening before I go to bed. That's when I do most of my writing. But I also have a small pocketbook that I keep, and I'll just write down random notes, or it can be work-related, not. I'll get a thought, or I'm at work and I went, oh, why's that trailer got a red tag on it? I'll write down that trailer number. I'm not using my phone. I'm using my book. And the reason why I'm using my little pocketbook versus the phone, because the phone's going to tempt me to do something else.
Yeah.
Whereas in my pocketbook, I'm making the effort. I have to write it out.
Uh-huh.
You know, V523 red tag.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I might forget about it otherwise.
There has to be
here.
a scientific explanation for that, for like the physical act of writing it out and imprinting it in your brain so you remember it, instead of speaking it out into a voice chat, into Chat GPT maybe.
Right. But I mean, to me, the pocket notebook is great because there are so many things in it, and it's in so many ways. I have a prayer list in there.
Yeah.
I'm tracking my weight in there. I'll have things referencing work or a quote somebody said. I went, oh, that's a good one, and write it down.
I've kept a notebook in my pocket since I joined the Army in 1997, because when I got to my first duty station, Alpha Company 65th Engineers, it was like it was part of your uniform to have a notebook and a pen on you at all times. And I just kept that habit through my entire life, but I never looked at it like it was just a handy thing to have to write things down that I need to remember.
Well, I think it's more important. Actually, I think it's more important now with cell phones than it was, as a way to get us off our cell phone, to really develop some thought, and again, to slow us down. Not to slow us down, but slow us down to make us more productive.
Or more thoughtful.
Right. Because I'm not productive when I'm on my phone.
No.
But if I'm writing something in my notebook, I'm productive because there's a reason why I wrote it down.
Yeah. I think I'm more reactive on my cell phone as well.
Yes.
Like, I don't think about my response. I just respond. And then later I'm like,
Right.
If I had to think about it longer, I would not have responded that way.
And we were talking about the dopamine and the positive effect and having a good attitude.
Get that, yeah.
You're not going to get that on your phone. All you do, like if you post something on social media, you're going to look at 600 comments of everybody bitching and moaning about something that was just posted, and you're going to walk away in a bitchy, moany attitude.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that to yourself?
I quit all social media for a long time. I had none. And then I just got on X when Elon Musk bought it. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Free speech again. Fine. Let me check it out. And like I said before on the show, the only reason I keep X right now is because I'm in one specific group chat with some dudes and to troll the FBI. That's it. That's really it. Kash Patel's an abysmal failure, and I like to tell him at any opportunity I can. So
I need to get my FBI agent in here to do
he's not welcome in this house.
Show. Oh, I think it'd be a great show.
He's not welcome in my house. I'll tell you that right now. He's a traitor to America, and he should be ashamed of himself.
You can tell him that in the podcast.
Not at my property. He's not allowed to step foot on my property. Period.
Okay.
I think he should get a real job.
All right.
Moving on. So, what's the longest stretch you've had between journal entries?
The longest?
Yeah.
Oh, I would have to go back to 97.
Yeah.
Around that time. I have about a year and a half gap.
97, what were you doing then?
I was at Fort Bragg. Gil and I were together, no kids.
Oh, I know what you were busy doing.
Living the dream.
Newlyweds, busy doing what newlyweds do.
Every weekend we were at the beach.
Yeah.
Wilmington, Wrightsville Beach, and hanging out with friends. And that's my longest gap. It was about a year and a half.
Okay.
Before I started back up. And I don't remember why I started back up.
It wasn't that was Gail pregnant?
She was, and I don't have that written down.
No? Okay, so it was after she was pregnant? Like after the birth of your first child?
I have to dig back in there why. I don't remember why I started back up again.
Okay.
If it was just, the difference between having a year and a half gap in my diary is I have a year and a half of letters.
Oh.
Back when letters were a thing, or
Yeah.
email was kicking in.
Yeah.
Started to do email about that time.
About 98, wasn't it? When it
Yeah.
got real popular.
I mean, I had AOL 2.0,
Mm-hmm.
right? AOL.
I don't know. I don't know if I even have AOL.
Welcome.
I was completely disconnected from society
You have mail.
for like 3 years of my life back in the late 90s, which I enjoy doing from time to time.
It's kind of fun. That's actually funny that you mentioned what's the biggest gap, because I actually have a list of all my gap dates.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I went back and did that.
The lost years?
Through the years. All my gap dates in there. Again, I mean, it's my...
So a year and a half was the most,
Yeah.
down to maybe a couple days?
Yeah.
Okay.
But if it's a couple of days, I'll make them up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, because you'd be like, yeah, one day there's something that happened.
I'll do it two ways. I'll either write Monday and the date and fill in the blank, Tuesday and the date, fill in the blank, and now I'm on Wednesday.
Okay.
Or I might just enter Wednesday's date and go, over the last couple of days, I forgot to do this, or I didn't feel like doing it, and just kind of fill in the blank and go that way.
Okay. All right.
It depends on how I feel.
Yeah. And I started to write a book. We talked about this a while ago.
Yeah.
Right? And I was writing like 1,000 words a day for a solid 10 days. And then I just like, this is going nowhere. Really, what am I doing? It was weird because it was like I wrote the end and then I wrote a bunch of stuff in the middle and I had no beginning. And I like hit a wall where I was like, what am I going to do with this? Really? Is this, do I really want to do this?
So you wrote without an outline?
Yes. I had a story in mind and I wrote everything that was in my mind out, and then I just ran out of gas. And also I got to a point where I was like, all right, I need to storyboard this because I know I have the ending. I have an arc, the peak of the arc. What's on either side, I don't know. What's at the beginning, I don't know. And I was like, this is going to eat up so much of my time.
So character development was the thing that killed you.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part, actually.
Oh, okay.
That and trying to write a conversation. Have you ever tried to write out a conversation?
I'm actually, I did a lot of that. But the personalities of the people in the conversation is what got to me.
Well, you could actually kind of do it like Star Wars. You had your start, right?
Yeah.
Which was the middle.
Uh-huh.
And you do your story.
And then go back.
And then go back and go, here's the prequel.
Yeah.
And finish it off that way.
Well, I guess so. But, I was looking at the drudgery of going through the details, developing the characters. Then I started like, how many characters do I have in this story right now? This is way too many, man. And then I started thinking about how many edits do I have to do? How many rewrites am I going to do? I was like, how much work am I going to have to do for this? I don't want it that bad. I'm putting this away.
I have 4 or 5 books that I started and never finished.
Okay.
I have one that I did do when I was 14, maybe 14 years old. I wrote. Still have it. The kids have read it. It's a mystery.
Okay.
It's almost like a Hardy Boys kind of.
Yeah. Okay.
It's called the Martin Trio. And it's got 20 chapters. It's all handwritten.
Wow.
And I could tell my age because, other than me putting the date in the front, but every time I wrote a lowercase letter I, instead of a dot, it's a circle.
Such a girl thing.
I mean, that's what I did then. I don't know.
Well,
now
cool.
you can't read my handwriting.
I have a bunch of short stories that I wrote.
Oh, yeah.
As a kid, and about like karate tournaments or, Rambo style stories. That was.
I wrote one about
I have to get my hands on those.
Me and some buddies running through the woods after sneaking out of the house.
Okay.
And getting eaten up by werewolves as we're running through. And I still have that story.
Those are cool. Something we used to do as kids in grade school, in Catholic school. You remember those reams of paper that were all connected? The printer paper that had the green and the white lines?
I love that stuff.
We used to get a big stack of it, and you would start a story just in pictures, though, stick people. and draw a landscape of the story, and then you turn the page and it's another illustration of like a battle or something going on, and we would all contribute to it. There's like 5 or 6 of us that would sit there and draw these, and it would be like 30 of these pages long. And I think those things are like, what, 24 inches?
Yeah, the dot matrix paper.
Yeah.
I might still have some at the house, actually.
Man, and we used to just, how did we have so much free time in grade school? I don't know.
One of my favorite things, I still have it. I messed around with this thing up until I was probably 24, 25 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Started it as a kid. Well, I started it as a young teen, so 14, 15 years old. It's a piece of, it's that brown paper, like a paper bag.
Yeah.
It's a giant sheet.
Okay, like a butcher paper or something like that.
Yeah, and it'll fit on our entire dining room table. It's huge. And I drew a bunch of islands on it and created a battle map of the U.S. fighting the Japanese.
Okay.
And so I've got little ships all over the place, and I played war on it. So the way I did it is I drew little dotted lines to show movement and all that. And I still have that, and it's kind of funny to lay that thing out and look at it. I'll have to bring that in so you could see it.
Okay, that'd be fun to look at. I got to get those stories from my mom. There was a guy, Philip Lesmeister was his name. He was the one that kept all the stories on those pages. I should have been learning about phonics and conjugation of verbs and algebra, but instead we were drawing pictures and sharpening pencils into knives.
That's all right. What keeps you from writing now?
I think what really keeps me from doing it is knowing that I'll become obsessed with it, and I'll turn into kind of like a hermit down here in my basement, typing and writing.
Do what you did before. Set your limit.
Yeah.
1,000 a day. You get your 1,000, you put it away. No, it doesn't matter where you're at.
Yeah.
Stephen King is that way, actually.
But the thing is, though, like I would keep a notebook on me, and I'm constantly writing stuff down and stuff that I'm going to type out later. And it's kind of like this bike ride we have coming up where I get obsessive. Now I'm like, I'm super deep into this, man. And it's the same with my fitness and the same with writing. I think I'm afraid I'm going to get obsessed. What else you got?
Well, I want to get my notes together. Can you pause it a second?
Sure.
So we had more of a less free-form talk today. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I do want to mention it is Memorial Day weekend.
Right.
We're both veterans.
Yeah.
Sometimes this holiday always gets me a little bit more than others because everyone's always, happy Memorial Day, and you get your discounts and at all the restaurants for all your different meals, and
nothing happy about it.
Right. This is a holiday that we honor those that gave their lives for our country. And, I don't need anybody to come up to me and say, thank you for your service. Wait until Veterans Day.
Yeah.
That's when we all celebrate as veterans.
Right.
For the service we gave. But the ultimate service and sacrifice to our country, that's what this holiday this weekend is all about.
Yeah. It's a somber time for me. Thinking about all of the brothers and sisters we lost in the wars throughout our country's history. And, one that hits home close to me is Lieutenant Commander Murphy Lee Sweet. He was a naval commander, and he was killed in Iraq. He was one of the guys we trained at Task Force Marshall at Fort Jackson. He was a contracting officer in charge of rebuilding schools and different infrastructure for Iraq. And, the Navy at the time, they they were filling Army positions. They were doing their shore duty throughout the global war on terror in different locations around the world. So he was in Iraq. He had a bounty on his head by the terrorists, and he was supposed to come home at a certain date, but his replacement was going to be a few weeks late. So he decided to stay in country. He volunteered to stay in country until his replacement got there, and they got him. He was killed by a EFP, explosively formed projectile, roadside bomb, and left behind a wife and a couple kids. And it was one of the guys we trained. He wasn't the only one we lost, but that was the one that really was like, man, he wasn't even supposed to be there. And plus he volunteered to be in the Navy, and he was doing a job that the Army would normally do, or not even the Army, like, State Department or USAID or some contracting whatever. And so yeah, that's one.
I had the only person I have that I've known personally that lost their life in an operation was Major Stuart Wolfer during Iraqi freedom. He was in Baghdad in the Green Zone, and at that time he happened to actually be at the gym running on the treadmill, and a rocket attack hit where he was running, and he was killed. I don't remember the other person's name. There was a colonel who was also from St. Louis who was killed at the same time. I don't remember him. But that was sad. I mean, he and I went through ROTC together, and the ROTC building was later renamed after him, and he left behind a wife and child as well.
As you're driving through the roads in Missouri, you'll see sections of roads who are named after military personnel. And if you take the time to Google those names, you'll see that they were young men who were killed in the service of our country, either in the global war on terror, or they died while in service during the time. There's a lot of them. And I had a conversation this with a family member of mine, talking about this so-called greatest generation that fought in World War II. That these guys were, a lot of them were conscripts, where they didn't a lot of guys didn't volunteer during that time. A lot did, but a lot didn't. All of these men and women who died in the global war on terror were all volunteers, 100%.
Right.
Volunteers. And I do not put myself in a class of greatest generation but I consider probably the guys who are younger than me as part of the greatest generation. People talk a lot of shit about the millennials and stuff like that, but these men were volunteering to go to war. And while I was a drill sergeant, this is something that I really made sure that I showed my respect for the men that I trained, because they all volunteered to serve in the Army during a time of war where it was like a guarantee that you're going over. And I would tell them that when I signed up, there was no war going on, man. You all signed up and volunteered during a time of war. And I want to thank you for that. And you have my respect right off the bat, day one.
Right.
And I'm looking up right now, Missouri killed in action, global war on terror. But they pulled up a Kia dealership, of course. But that was something that really, I put a lot of pressure on myself as a drill sergeant during that time to do the very best I could for these men. And I only trained men. I didn't train any female soldiers. But I put a lot of pressure on myself to train these men up to the best of my ability, to give 100% of me to them, because they're putting everything on the line. regardless of why they think they volunteered. There were some guys like, man, I just volunteered to go to college. Like, I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, son, but the Army does not care about your college ambitions. You're going to Iraq to drive a truck, or you're going to be an MP, or whatever it is. And I just made sure that they all left with a sense of pride in what they've done just by putting their name on the paper. Climb, get back up there.
So I would like to take a moment and just say that, I honor any of the men and women who served, who paid the ultimate price for any of the conflicts that we had in our country, and extend my gratitude to the family members who had to live with the fact that their service man or woman gave their all.
Yeah. And remember, folks, it's for those of you who didn't serve it, it's not a happy Memorial Day. Please don't wish somebody happy Memorial Day.
Right.
Just recognize that today is what it is. And if you want to have a barbecue, you want to drink some beers and have a good time, get your boat out on the lake, that's why the sacrifice was made.
Right.
So enjoy yourselves.
I would recommend anybody has that time a day, go to Jefferson Barracks.
Oh, yeah.
National Cemetery, which is by acreage now larger than Arlington.
Oh, wow.
And will someday be larger than Arlington National Cemetery, because Arlington's already full. Now you got to have a special, permit or whatever to get buried there. Because they're restricted in their land.
Yeah.
Jefferson Barracks recently bought another tract of land to accommodate, that sounds sad, to accommodate any future burials there. But, Jefferson Barracks, my dad is buried there. I have 2 uncles buried there. My father-in-law, my grandfather. I take that back. I have 3 uncles buried there. My grandfather's buried there. It's a... You need to go check it out at least once. Just to walk it.
I've driven past there and through there before. I've never stopped. And I should, because I wish to be buried there.
I'll be there one of these days.
Yeah. I don't care if you cremate me, put me in a cardboard box. I don't care. Just and when I was living in South Carolina, those were my instructions. If I die, if something happens in the fire cert, like while I'm firefighting, whatever, if I die, put me at Jefferson Barracks. I'm trying to search desperately for these Missouri.
Did you get it yet?
It's coming. This is something else. When I'm searching for something and it's like processing, I'll automatically go to my phone to like fill the time. And I've noticed that lately, and I force myself to never do that.
We're trying not to do that.
Nope.
Kill the social media.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm only on X, like I said, 2 reasons.
All right. Well, in the meantime, anyone who is listening, you can email us at showmemkkilo@gmail.com. You can comment directly on any of our platforms, which is Spotify, YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, YouTube, people.
Big time, baby.
Or on our Facebook page. All 3 of them, the Headspace and Tasting Podcast.
And X. Where freedom of speech still exists.
And we get a little bit more on Facebook than we do everywhere else, because we'll post about the bourbon we drank or the list over the last 10 shows we did. I published that this week.
Okay.
So, if you want to know about a specific bourbon, you can listen to that particular show. Or anything else we might throw out there. Please comment, like, follow, subscribe. Help us grow it out a little bit. Give us some feedback because we want to know what you want to hear too.
Yeah. Well, if you had a bourbon you want to donate to the show, I keep throwing this out every week. And
Yeah. We've had some people donate, so don't be scared. 2
donations so far.
Yeah, don't be scared.
Much appreciated. Next week, we haven't decided yet, but we're going to do a flight.
Yes.
Right? So that's pretty exciting, something to look forward to.
We will do a flight next week.
One of our top-rated bourbons from the show might be one of the flights we taste. We haven't done a list of yet. We haven't sat down and done a comprehensive list of our top 10 yet, right?
No.
But I think that's coming. We're 21 shows deep. We can talk about maybe top 5.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the next show's going to be all bourbon. Who knows?
Ooh, maybe. Or maybe one of our listeners will give us a good topic to go over.
Yeah. I get a good topic. I'll bring you on the show and you could talk about it with us.
That would be great. If you want to be a guest, hit us up. All right, Kevin. It's an hour 5. It's one of our shorter shows, and that's okay because it's a beautiful day outside. And I think I want to go sit out and enjoy a little bit more of this Henry McKenna.
I'm going to eat some kangaroo tonight at the Rack House.
Oh, kangaroo meat. Nice. I think, what are we having tonight? Oh, Steak and Shake. Tonight's cheat day.
Okay.
Saturdays are cheat days for me. After noon, I get to cheat. So bourbon and Steak and Shake for me.
Yay.
Love it. All right, folks. Have a good one. Bye.
Peace out.